Looking at the calendar, we have an exam next Thursday in here. It will be exactly, well, not exactly. It'll be very similar to your labs. You'll have to make a drawing. You'll have to place dimensions. You'll have to have a title block. Okay, so you have to understand scale. You'll have to understand hidden lines. So some of us are struggling with hidden lines still. I went through all the labs. Sometimes they don't show up on the PDF. So we have to make that happen in Paperspace. Some of us are still struggling with the text height with dimensioning. So if you're struggling with that, you got to get with me or, ask a question, something, figure it out, right? Because that's what we want full control over for the exam. Drawing won't be hard, but it'll have hidden lines. You'll have to put dimensions on. You'll probably have to do a 3-view orthographic projection. You'll have to include a title block, pick a scale, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Today is metric and a few, I call them power commands, just commands that we haven't covered. We will not cover all the commands in AutoCAD. There's a lot, but I do like to cover some of what I call the power commands that are pretty handy that I haven't covered. So we'll do metric, we'll do title blocks, and then some of these power commands. Okay. Any questions on anything before I start rambling?
No, sir.
No, sir. All right, metric. When you start a new drawing. So this does not always happen when you open your first drawing. It depends on the setup and the install. So everyone's got a different install, believe it or not, because you have a different laptop. But if you open a drawing and then you go to new, you go up to file, new, you will get the template question. It will say, what template do you want to use? The default is ACAD. That is US inches. AutoCAD is thinking in inches. No matter what, if you open that, that's what you get. If you want metric, if you want AutoCAD to think in millimeters, and there's really no indication of this other than this template choice and the actual size of the object. 1 millimeter is much different than 1 inch. Everyone know what the difference is there? What's the scale? How many millimeters per inch? 20, that's centimeters, but that's good. So 25.4 is what I remember, 25.4 millimeters per inch. So it's about 25 times difference in size. It's a big size difference, okay? But if you want millimeters, which on today's lab you will, on the rotor, it's in the metric system and it's in millimeters, you need to choose ACAD ISO. Right there. ISO stands for International Systems Organization or something like that. Metric is what it stands for. So there's many other templates. You can even see I have a template in there, Donaldson US. So we will make templates at some point. We don't need to do it yet. Although today it'd be kind of nice to have a template, but that's all right. I'm going to show you other ways. So ISO, okay? And when you open that, if it opens, wait, there we go. It looks the same. Like even the grid looks the same. I turn the grid off. But yeah, it's hard to tell that this is anything different. There are some subtle changes when you go into layout. The paper size is very strange. It's a metric size piece of paper. It's kind of odd, right? So in metric, when you go into layout, you should set that to a normal piece of paper because most of our copiers are not going to understand this piece of paper. And I'll show you how to do that. You go to your layout, you right click, and you can see Page Setup Manager. That is going to be the setting for this piece of paper. Have we done that yet in here? No, because you can choose different kinds of different sizes, right? You can choose A size paper or B size 11 by 17 or C size or D size, okay? So when you click on this, it looks like, we'll modify it, layout 1. It kind of looks like a printer setup, but it's not, it's page setup. But it does have printer here, so you could actually choose a printer. But notice the paper. ISO A4. Your copier is not gonna understand that, and it's gonna say, oh, can't use that paper, right? So you can change this back to a normal piece of paper. The choices are all up here. Letter is the very first one. If you just want to make it letter, that's fine. But that's A size. If you go down further, you'll see ANSI A size is the same size, right? So some copiers don't understand ANSI A. So they'll be like, oh, don't have that paper. Well, yeah, you do. It's 8.5 by 11, right? So if you set it to letter, that'll be what most copiers will understand. And I'll say, okay. So you can see that adjusted a little bit. Right? And then you can rename these layouts, and you should. Leaving them layout one's not a great idea. I'm going to rename it to A size. Or I could call it letter metric. Because that's going to remind me that, hey, this is a metric template. Okay. And then this is the viewport. We talked about that, right? Yeah. So the viewport needs to be drug out. And the dotted line is the printed available space. So open it up so you have the most space available for your drawing. Okay. So that's metric. When I save this, I would typically put a metric notation in the saved file name if it was me. Because when I go back to get that file 2 years from now, I won't remember the metric or whatever, but if it says it right in the file name, that's helpful. All right, so one more time, when you go File New, Templates, ISO is metric. If I want to go back to do a US drawing, then I would choose the ACAT and say Open. So now I'm back 2 inches in this drawing. This drawing, which I don't think I saved it yet, still called drawing 4. That's metric. This is metric, and you're going to put a title block on today, and that's the rotor that you're going to draw. All right. Questions about metric or non-metric? Good. All right. So it's not impossible. Like, you'll forget. You'll just open it, AutoCAD, and you'll start drawing in the thinking you're metric. You'll get a couple hours in and then realize, oh crap, this thing's huge compared to what it should be. Metric, it's going to be small, right? You can scale things. You can make them bigger or smaller with the scale command. Now, it doesn't switch it to metric, but it does switch it to the correct size. All right, so the other thing you're going to do for me today, so you have 2 projects. You have this rotor thing, which I'll talk about and show you some strategies to draw this fairly quickly, and this title block. So 2 different things. Okay, so you're going to make a title block for me. It is on Blackboard, but I also made copies of it. It looks like this. It's the one on the bottom, not the one on the top. We're going to do the one on the bottom. Yeah, there's copies. Okay, and that title block goes where? Goes on the bottom, but what space? Paper space. We want that in paper space. All right, so the way I'm going to have you do that, there's other ways to do this in the future. We would do it with a template typically. But today I'm just going to have you make a drawing that has the title block in and save it. Like, that's the whole file, right? So we're going to do that. And then we're going to steal that title block over to our metric drawing. So we don't have to recreate it. We don't want to draw it twice. Question?
That was gonna be my question. I was gonna ask if like we can just put the title block onto the metric one and then submit it for the title block.
You can, but you'll have to convert everything because the title block's in inches, right? So I say don't do that. Let's just do it in inches. That's this one that I opened. It's in inches, drawing 5. So to make your title block, you just want to go to layout. Make sure this is to A size, but if you're in the US system, it is already choosing A size paper. So right there, it's choosing letter. Okay, that's the default. So you don't have anything to tweak there. Drag your viewport up and then start to draw this title block, right? So you just look at the numbers given and draw it in. So it is 10.25 wide, right? That's what it says. Everyone see that? And then what, a 1/2 inch tall for overall, because it's a quarter for each one. So one of the ways to do that is just to, aim and shoot. We've been doing that a lot. You do want to make sure you're in the paper space. We're in paper space. And you know that because when you zoom, the paper gets big and small. When you're in model space and you zoom, the model gets big and small, right? Okay. All right, so I would go line from this corner because I kind of wanted to match my viewport. Remember that rectangle is called a viewport. So I just come out here and go 10.25. So that'll probably end up not lined up with the viewport, but that's all right. I can move my viewport after I'm done. So then I'll go up 0.5 and then I will aim it over 10.25 back here and then close it off. Now, I have some double lines, but I kind of want those double lines for right now. I don't want this double line down here. So when you highlight things, it kind of shows, or when you mouse over things, it shows you the object, right? So down here, there's an extra line. I'll just click on that and delete. We don't really want double lines. It's not great. In the future, we're going to use the laser cutter. If you have a double line, the laser goes, does every line, right? So double lines are bad. I'm going to line up my viewport. What's up, Gina? You got questions?
Did you do 10.25?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So now I'm going to show you offset. 10.5 up. Yeah. Yeah. Catch up. Come on. You're doing fine. You don't have to follow along. I know. Follow the leader is kind of fun at times. All right. Offset. Have you used that yet? It's a power command. So offset. God, where is it? Show me it, people. It's here. Oh, right there. See it? Offset. I don't do the buttons. I would go, FF, and it would pop up and I would use it. Okay, so offset makes a copy of an object at a distance. If it's a circle, it's going to make a copy at a distance. If it's a line, it's going to make a copy up or down or right or left or however at a distance, right? So it's like the copy command, but it's a lot more powerful because it's faster. So when I do offset, it asks that question. Specify the offset distance. I'll put in 0.25 because I'm going to offset the top line down, right? 0.25. Hit enter. It says select the object. I do. And then I show it which side, this side or this side, this side or this side. I show it this side and it doesn't. Makes a copy at a distance. Super handy. For example, I have this line that I want over how far? 3.5? Yeah. So I put in offset 3.5. And then I choose this line and I left that double line there and I plop it in. Super handy. Hit escape, hit the space bar to bring the last command back. So sometimes I do offset, feels like an hour. Just space bar, bring that command back. If you're doing line, space bar will bring the line command back, right? Whatever you just did, it'll bring that command back to you. Offset distance for the next one is what? 5.25. And then I'll choose this line again and fire it over. I'm just offsetting, yeah? Space bar brings it back. 7.25. And 9. Everyone see what I'm doing? Yeah, pretty handy, huh? Yeah, that was a lot better than like trying to figure out where to put things, just offset things at distances. I offset long lines, short lines, all kinds of things because it's super easy to trim, right? 1 second. So this one is not supposed to go the whole way, right? So I want to trim that part off. The trim command is good for that. And you can just draw a line through things. That's the fast way to use trim. you've had too much coffee, you can just draw a line through something instead of trying to pick it. The other way, of course, with trim, whoops, that was undo twice, is just to pick the part of the line you want removed. I think we all got that. And the other way is when you're not in a command, you can grip and then just grab a grip point and drag it up. So that's like the no command way. You can do a lot with grips. These are grips. When you choose something not in a command, that comes up, right? These are grip points. So for lines have 3 grip points. If you grab the middle grip point, you're actually doing a move. So these are pretty handy. So it doesn't look like it worked well for that because it slid it over. So placing it wasn't so great. Good? Yeah. All right, text. Let's talk about that a little bit because you got text in this thing, right? In paper space, we don't have to deal with scaling of text. We just can put it in the size we want because we're literally like writing on the paper, right? Not gonna ever be zoomed or anything. The paper is the paper size. So I think I put in the instructions that the text is 1/8 inch. Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. If you use, and I've seen a lot of you using multi-line text, it's fine. You can use multi-line text for one line of text. It's just not that handy. It's more work to get things in the right spot. Multi-line text is really for general notes. If you're gonna have like a paragraph that you're putting on a drawing, multi-line text, it'll word wrap, it'll do all kinds of cool things for you, right? But if you're just placing text on a drawing, single line text is the way to go. It's this one. It's gonna ask you some very basic questions. Start point. All right, well, it's not that important. I could put the start point right here. You can just get your text on and then move it around, right? The height. So since we're in paper space, we want the exact height that we want, 0.125. Rotation is like, oh, you want your text at some weird angle. It's kind of dumb, but I guess you could want it on some angle. The brackets tells you what the default is, and this is any command. You see the brackets? Probably not called brackets, they're probably called something else. Greater than, less than sign, I don't know. See the 0 inside? So that's gonna be a 0 rotation. And when you see that in the default, just hit enter and it'll accept that value. Okay, anytime you see a number in those brackets, if you hit enter, you get it. So when you do offset, if you're offsetting at 1/4 inch, that will show up in the brackets every time. And you can just hit enter to receive, to use that. So I'll just hit enter to use 0, and then I can type. Drawn by, I think is the first one. And I'll just, if this was my Titlebox, I'd put my name in, so I don't have to put it in every time, right? Single line text will do multiple lines. It's kind of funny. I don't want to do multiple lines, but it will do it. If you want out of single line text, you have to enter twice. Enter, enter. Now I'm out. Okay. Spacebar brings it back, and I could place another piece of text. Notice what's in the default, right? 0.125, because that's what I used last time. So I don't have to type that in. I can just hit enter, and I'll do one more. SC. Whoa. Rotation 0. SCALE scale. And if you just keep clicking, you can keep placing text around your drawing. It's kind of fun, right? Or not. When you're done, 2 enters get you out. Okay, so single line text, you can put text like all over your drawing in kind of one move. Multi-line text, you can't do that. You got to finish your multi-line text, then go back into multi-line text, make your rectangle. Yeah, single line text is the way to go. All right. Once text is down, if you grip it, it only has one grip point, and that is its placement point. Right? So I can grip this one, grab it by its placement point, and then come down and place it. I'll get rid of these. right? And I just placed it by eye. Just eyeballed it, right? Okay, well, maybe if you don't want to eyeball it, I could go offset. And I could figure mathematically out what this is. It's a half of an eighth, right? Because isn't this an eighth? So then the outside's an eighth. So this is half of an eighth. I don't know what that is, but you can put in 1 divided by 8. Oh, no. 1/16, sorry. You can put in a fraction and it'll take it. Select object to offset. Bump up, and that's where the text should go. So now it's like a little construction line for me, right? That's pretty close. You gotta do it by eye. It's just slightly off. So if I want it perfect, I take this and I have to go down and like find that line. And then in the end, I'd probably get rid of it, right? So if you want it perfect, you can do that. I'm not requiring that yet. And you could do that again, you know, away from this left edge. You can get it perfect. Up to you. And then I'd move scale to wherever it is. Where is it? Way down here. Oh, I'm eyeballing it. All right. Questions? It's not too bad, right? You can do that. All right. Once you get it done, save it as this title block thing. So I did that already. And it looks like this. You don't have to fill in all the boxes. Just these boxes are fine. Some of these boxes are kind of obsolete. Number of sheets is important, but I didn't include it. Material, that'd be fine. We could put that one in. Sheet number, that's kind of weird. Part number, if it had a part number. So, you know, we don't have to include all that. Just the basics is good. I do want scale. I do want the date. I do want your name. And it'd be nice to have a drawing name. Rotor, right? So that's good to have. All right, so when it's done, it's in this its own file, right? It's in a US inches file. And we want it over in that metric thing. Which one was my metric one? I think it was this one. We'll find out. I think that's the one I was just working in, so that's inches. Get rid of that. No, don't say. All right, so this is my metric drawing, right? And I want my title block over there. So we're just going to keep it simple. You can literally in paper space, highlight it, which means you're gripping it all up, and do Control-C, which is copy. And then jump over to your metric drawing and do Control-V. Check it out. That's interesting. It made it super small. So what it did was it took that thing and said, oh, those are metric numbers, and it plopped it in. So that is millimeters, not the right size. Makes sense, right? Because this is a metric drawing. So when you bring something in, it's going to think metric system, and it's just going to shrink it down. It's all here, right? It's all there. It's just how many times too small? 25.4 times too small. So the command is scale. It's going to always say any command that modifies, it's going to start with select objects. Any command. Copy, move, erase, select objects, right? Select your objects. I'm using a window. You guys know that's there. Single click, move your mouse. That's the all in window. Everything inside gets selected. So if I use that and I don't get everything inside, it only will select what is inside. And it sees this as one object, right? Because I pasted it in. So you got to get it all in. The other window is this one. Everyone, did you know that one existed? The green one? That's a crossing window. Anything it crosses, it chooses. So when you get used to these windows, you'll never use that little pick box again. You'll just use these windows. Like cross it and you grab it. Okay? All right. Specify the base point. That'll be the point of explosion or implosion, depending on the scale you put in. And I'll put in 25.4. Boom. Whoa. What happened to my text? Well, that's interesting. Undo, undo. I don't even know why it did that. Let's see if it does it again. Oh, it grabbed it this time. Maybe I didn't get it. All right.
May have been because you selected it with the cross one.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, I didn't cross it, but it should have all been one object. That's interesting. Anyway, doesn't matter. And now what do I do with it?
Grab it.
Move it. Move command. I want to move all of it. So I use my window to select it all, right? And then hit enter when I'm done selecting, and I grab a corner and I come down and say, okay, I want it at this corner. Get used to zooming in to get things right. That's important. It's probably off of the viewport. I'll take the viewport and move it over, and voila, I'm ready to go. I have my title block in my metric drawing. Cool. It's not too bad. You just copy and paste it over and then scale it to the right size. Easy peasy. All right. If you want to edit text, you just click on it. Click, click. And it highlights it. Right? And then you can go in, and if you don't want to change the whole thing, you can literally pick in here somewhere, you know, and make a change. Click anywhere outside and you're clear. So to edit, click, click. Once I know the scale, I could come in and say like 1 to 2. Right? So it's good to have placeholders in your title block, so you can just click, click, and then edit that. You don't have to be placing text over and over. All right, let's talk about the rotor. The rotor looks like this, but I want to draw some of it. So give you a kick start. It starts with just big circles, right? So just get the circles in. A lot of trimming and cleaning up is the way to draw this. So if I start with a circle, you can see it's really big because I must be zoomed back. But if I want that outside circle, what's the diameter of it? If you don't have one, there is copies over there if you want to look at it. But the diameter is kind of shown in the right side view. It's kind of an odd spot to put it. So when you dimension this, dimension it how you want. You don't have to dimension it the way they want. They did it. I don't really like how they did it, actually. But there's the 165 diameter. Right? In this side view. They didn't even name their views. Poorly done. You'll do way better. But notice when you draw a circle, what am I getting? The radius. So just be careful with that. If 165 is the diameter, you can put in 165 divided by 2 and let AutoCAD do the math. Right? I was zoomed way back. That's why it went so small. But that's the correct size. Right? So then if I go for the inside circle, again, I'm getting radius. What's the inside circle? I don't see. Oh, 36. Is that what it is? Yeah, it's this thing, isn't it? 36. This circle is the one I'm going for. There's another one here, right? 30. And I would make that circle too, and then this would all be just trimming. So 30 and 36 is what I need. The inside one is 36. Diameter, radius. So be careful with that. 36 is the diameter. So it's giving me radius, right? 36 divided by 2 pops it in. So that's cool. You don't have to do higher level math in your head like dividing by 2. That's difficult for us. I know that. All right, so let's talk about these up here. So here's the pattern of 3. Here's the pattern of 3. And this whole pattern repeats 24 times. So I'm going to draw these 3 in, and then we're going to use array to make the pattern. So there's a command called array that will make horizontal vertical patterns, but it'll also make polar circular patterns, right? That's the way to do this. So I'm going to need construction lines for each one of these, and they're 5 degrees off. I'm gonna array that too. Because I don't really like drawing that much. I like copying and stuff, right? So construction lines, and then I'll need these construction circles to get those intersections. And those circles are given here. Cool? So it's good to kind of come up with a strategy when you go to draw this creature. Oh, they're all line from the center up. So there's that first one, but I want it like in a center line. So I'm gonna go and load. Actually, I'll do a hidden line. I'm gonna use a small one. This one. Because it's a small drawing. Metric, it's not that small, but it's kind of small. So I loaded my line type and now I'm gonna make this that line type. Right? So it just kind of makes it different than visible lines. So it's not part of the part. I may end up erasing it in the end, but. So now I'm gonna like array this thing. 5 degrees, I want 3 of them. Right? And it's mostly because I just want to show you. I could rotate it 5 degrees. I can make a copy, rotate it. That'd be one way to do it. But I have to do it again. So I really don't want to do that. So array, it's that thing. It wants to know what you're going to array. So you choose your object. And then it says, hey, what kind of an array do you want? And I want a polar, not a rectangular. Rectangular would be X and Y, keeping it like rectangular. Polar would be a round and a circle. Then it needs to know the center point, like what's the center of this thing? Once you give it that information, then you get the polar array dialog box palette, whatever you want to call it, right? And it makes some assumptions for you. It thinks you want 6 items. I don't. I want 3 items. It thinks I want 120 degrees between. I don't. I want 5 degrees between. Getting closer. And it appears good, but it's going the wrong way. I kind of want it to go the other way because this one looks like it's going the other way, right? I guess I could do these 3 in that position. That'd be kind of weird. So I'm going to do these 3 this way. So this is the direction button here. And it just flips the direction. So anything repetitious, pull patterns on a plate. If that pattern's consistent, array it. Draw one in the right spot and array it, right? The sprocket, perfect example of like, oh my God, I am not drawing that. I'm gonna draw something and array it, right? Same with this cut right here. I'm gonna draw that and array it 4 times all the way around. I'm gonna draw this one hole, array it all the way around. Good? All right. So now I got that. I need my circles. Oh, green check mark. Must have hit enter. I need the big construction circles, these, right, that are going all the way out. And they are noted as these. So that's how I can position these. Vertical line, angle, angle, and circle, circle, circle. 143, 148, 153. I need 3 of them, right? So 148 divided by 2, it's doing radius. That's the middle one. Space bar brings my circle back. 143 divided by 2. Space bar brings my circle back. This one will go in here, which is the larger one, 153 divided by 2. There they are. And they're all, whoops, they're all construction. So I want them all hidden. Right? And then the circles go in at these intersections. So circles are 5 diameter. There, there, and there. Yeah. Circle at the intersection. So make sure you have intersection going. That's the diamond. Right? Then I pull it out. 2.5. I'll do the math for the radius. There's one of them. If it was me, I'd probably copy it. from the center point to there, copy this, oops. Why did it do a move? Wrong. Oh, I know why, I bet. Enter. From here. I don't know why. Yeah, why did it do that the first time? I don't know. Anyway, so what's nice about copy is when you're in it and you stay in. Like you can, like, that's nice. You can just place them all you want until you escape out. Undo will undo the last thing, right? All right, we good? So there's the pattern. I have it developed. Now I want to array it. Array, select your objects. I just want this, this, and this. I don't need all this other mumbo jumbo, right? Polar, correct? Center point, that's down here. And again, it's trying to help me. But I know I don't want 6. I want how many? 24 of them. 24 of the repeat hole pattern, that's these 3. I want 24. Just make it, that's making me happy. Yeah. Close the array, move on. Draw another thing, like I would probably start to work on this, which is gonna be circle, circle, some construction lines, maybe an offset to get these, trim it up, and then fillet these. Have you used fillet yet? Fillet rounds corners, right? So if you draw a shape, your shape's gonna look, oh, I'm not gonna draw the arc, but that'll be an arc, and it comes down, and another arc, and that's really bad, right? But you can take these corners and you can round them up with fillet. So there's 2 things. There's fillet and chamfer. Chamfer makes a straight edge. Fillet makes a rounded edge. The really weird thing about fillet is its default radius is 0. So you're gonna be like using fillet and going, it's not working. It's like, oh, you didn't set your radius because the default radius is 0. I think that's dumb, but so if I go here and here, nothing happens. How come? Yeah, the default radius is 0. That doesn't help us really, AutoCAD. See the options down below? Can you see the options? These are the options. Undo, polyline, radius, trim and multiple. Again, I'm not covering all the options. We would be here a lifetime to cover every option in every command. But those are called options to the trim command. That's why they show up, right? And the blue is what you type in if you want it to trim it off. The R is what you type in if you want to put in a radius, which we do. And I think it's called out as 6 on those. Now it says first object, second object, and it'll actually do something. So if fillet's not working, your radius is set to 0. Okay. Newsflash. Once you get it done, then you just array it out. That's a pretty good bump start on that exercise, I would say. If you can fight your way through this and then dimension, you'll be totally ready for the exam. I'm not giving you this on the exam, but the exam will be simpler than this drawing. So you can get your way through this. Give me a title block. Get the dimensions the right height, specify it in the lab. You're golden.
What's that weird like circle thing at the top of the drawing?
Yeah, so that's a blow up. Right? So this is detail A. This is detail A. So notice detail A appears to be bigger than the rotor, right? So this got scaled. It's 2 times bigger, actually. It doesn't say that. It should say 2 to 1, detail A 2 to 1, meaning, hey, we blew up a section so you could see it easier, right? How would I do that? Or if I wanted to do that for my drawing. Copy, right? I can do copy. And grab some things and pull it out. So the other thing I could do, which this is probably how I would do it, is copy. Once you get your drawing done, just remember that you just have infinite space and you can do infinite things, right? So I just made a copy of this, which I'm not messing with. I'm gonna leave that alone, but this, I can go circle and then trim and just start, whoops, trim, start drawing lines through stuff, getting rid of stuff, take all this away. Erase to get rid of some, oh, that's an array. That's why it's not modifying that. So if you want to modify your array, you have to explode it, yeah, which is a cool command. Gotta admit. Now it's back to individual objects. And I can erase. Right, I can get rid of some stuff. Right, and then this could become my detail. Getting there. So again, I'd probably clean it up some more. I'm not sure we need the, oh, those are nice. I'll pull that back. Yeah. We could get rid of this. All right, so there's my detail starting to develop. And then I move it over here. Get it kind of close. Rid of this mumbo jumbo. Right, so there's my detail, and if I wanted this 2 times bigger, scale. Now it's 2 times bigger. So make a big copy, hack it up, move it back over, scale it up. Looks good. Good question. Any other questions about like the dimensions of this thing? We know what diameter symbol is, right? That line with a, yeah, circle with a line through it. Radiuses are, I think everyone knows what the X72 means now. 72 locations of this 5 diameter, that's this thing. Or 24 times 3. I think that's it, pretty much. Good. All right, get them done. I think you have until the 12th to get them done. And then we'll have an exam next Thursday.